I'm Julianne Sweeters,
Okay.
and I grew up on the west side of LA,
Okay.
and I've lived in Pasadena for like 22 years or so. I'm an attorney, and I spent, I think, all of my years working in downtown LA.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I worked for a couple of different law firms, and I started to get interested in doing appeals and appellate work. So sort of early on, a judge that I had worked for, she was elevated to the Court of Appeal, so I asked her if she wanted me to work for her, and she did. So I went over there, and that's where I spent the rest of my working years so far.
Okay.
And yeah, retired from the California Court of Appeal,
Okay.
like after about 30 years almost.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm, officially retired from
great.
that. I could
Great.
always do something
Right.
to help someone somewhere along the line. But right now, I'm not doing any of it.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So I came for PT, but the way I found Evergreen was I had been suffering with back pain pretty well, and so when lockdown started, it started to get very acute. So I finally went to the doctor, had an MRI, got a prescription for therapy, and he sent me over to a different group in Pasadena. He's from the west side, so he didn't know Evergreen. And I went there, and it seemed kind of efficient, but really rather rote.
Okay.
And I didn't think much of that one way or another. It wasn't like I thought it was fabulous, but I just figured that's the norm.
Okay.
So I did think it was odd at one point when I was still in therapy that I mentioned that, gee, my shoulder was now starting to really hurt. And the therapist was, it was almost like, don't tell me that. I don't want to know anything. And he didn't ask me any questions about it or give me any thoughts on an exercise to do or anything. And I thought that was kind of odd. During this thing, I'm still, actually, I think I completed therapy there. I didn't sign up for another session because it didn't seem helpful. And in fact, I only resolved to, manageable pain after acupuncture. So that's what I did. But so meanwhile, my shoulder's getting worse, right? So my husband, I don't know how he found through an email or something online from Dave, and he had sort of a online workshop kind of thing of both back pain and shoulder pain. So it says, so you wanna watch this? I'm like, yeah, So by then I was concentrating on my shoulder, so I watched the shoulder one, and I was like, wow, this guy really, he has a different approach. He's much more holistic. You could tell just from the conversation. It wasn't even touching anybody about anything. So I thought, I want to go to him. So I got back to my doctor. He gave me a prescription. I said, you make it for Evergreen. So that's how I started to come. Having therapy with Dave, when he's just an enthusiastic person, right? So when I would show up, we would talk about all kinds of different things, and one of them was his excitement about fulfilling this dream he'd had for a long time about a PT lab, and about having therapists around and people being able to work out and do what they do, but kind of people keeping an eye that they're not doing something wrong things, and all the stuff that you do that you watch out for me at this point. But so I was kind of intrigued. Yeah. And so anyway, when it said it was really happening, I'm like, I want to join. I want to join because from June or July of 2021.
Okay.
So I'm a charter member, and I was pretty close to the beginning.
Oh, great.
Shall I tell you? Like there were, there are factors shall I, shouldn't I? Especially when you join a gym, it's like, am I really going to use it? But I've always had something to go to. During my life, I've always been active in some regard. So, I felt confident I would. It's convenient to me. Dave is, enthusiastic, accessible. He likes people's input, and he was, you had Brian at the front desk as a welcoming character, and all makes things happen for you, keeps things running. And then they were hiring you, who had this, amazing qualifications and experience. And I thought, and then you were teaching strength and mobility, which I kind of right off the bat knew that that's something that I really needed to get into, because, strength and balance and all those things going forward, because I was thinking of just going forward in life, what am I going to need? And so I was excited to join. The fact that you were offering classes to get started, so as a charter member, there's some free classes, but there's also more. There's also more. I could go in all other directions too, but I just felt that, like, the strength and mobility class, if I learned how to do that, then I could be on my own at some point. But I'd been a while since I had been in a gym where I was, playing around with weights or doing much of anything other than, I can get on the treadmill or that kind of thing. But so to actually kind of learn maybe how to put together a program for myself at some point, that was very enticing to me. And then Pilates is taught by a dancer, so she's she's pretty great at what she's teaching us too. So that was a great selling point for me to get me, because I knew I could get started. That I was kind of surprised at how much strength and balance I'd lost probably in the last years when I was working. I thought I was moving. I was going to yoga pretty regularly, but I wasn't doing much else. And so I could tell I was kind of failing a little bit. And also I wanted to play a racket sport, and it would have been tennis, but since my shoulders aren't cooperating, it's pickleball. Going forward, I want to stay strong or get strong and stay strong, and be able to play whatever I want without hurting myself. So this is for me right now. This is the best way there, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Great.
Okay. Well, there again, I guess because I was pretty much tested right off the bat and realized how my balance was not good and I was not strong and all that sort of thing. I didn't think it was that bad, but it was. And so anyway, then, and it's also a little surprising to me how long it takes to get it all back. You know what I mean? When you're my age, since the people, the welcoming spirit, for one thing. Since there is a lot of family here, with Dave and his family, and you get a family feel a little bit. And then just basically, especially with you, now you've helped me the most, since Straight PT. And I'm just, super grateful that you're not just competent, but you kind of seem to, you care, and you care how are you today, because it matters to what we'll be doing for the rest of the day. Like I've hurt myself, you'll be watchful for that, and don't do this, maybe try that. It's very impressive. I think it's just a safe and nurturing environment, and there are people who are very willing to help you. it's very accessible at this point. You know, I know you guys are going to have more and more people, and that's why I feel glad to be on the ground floor. That, you know, if your classes become so crowded, there's a lottery and I'm not in it, you know, then at least I'll have learned how to do my stuff for myself now. So, yeah, you can make goals and get there. It's basically a great thing. I know that when I come, I feel really grateful for the environment, and I get a similar sense from most of the people who come here. So, you know, I mean, just in the small interactions before classes or during or whatever, and as I say, it seems like safe, both physically, because you have a watchful eye, and emotionally too. So it's kind of a big deal for even showing up at a gym, I think. Thank you for your kindness. Yeah, it's motivating. So I'm repeating words, but it's true.